the Leo Kingdom.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's David Palmer, Leo King, and we are here live for Deep Astrology, your weekly astrology forecast for the week of November the 19th through the 25th of 2019. Thank you so much for being a part of HighVibe.tv, and of course, please check out HighVibe.tv to get exclusive videos, including Deep Astrology exclusively. Make sure that you check us out on all of our app stores. We're on iOS, Android. You can get us on Apple TV, Roku. You can subscribe through any of those app programs. Or, of course, if you want more options, go to highvibe.tv, the website. Subscribe there, get access to our paid video specials, and you have different aspects to control your account and so forth all through there. We have so many awesome new shows. We've got new podcasts out by Craig, actually. Go check it out. We've got new shows up by Kim Tabay with An Art to Life. We have Jax with all of his content. We've got Tamara. We've got so many people. Make sure that you check it out, highvibe.tv. And of course, if you've never watched the show before, this is where I'm going to channel the astrology live to you and give it to you deep style. And then, of course, we're going to go deep into the charts, which are brought to you by Astro Golds, which you can get on iOS, Android, and of course, you can get it on any of your Mac devices. If you're on PC, though, make sure that you check out Solar Fire. And of course, this show is sponsored by the W Bros. Check out thewbros.com for their awesome astrology horoscope collection for jewelry. That's right. You can get rings like I got my Leo ring on. Right now I'm wearing it on my left hand. I switch it all the time. It's super awesome. You're not going to want to miss out. They also have got awesome necklaces you can get in sterling silver, gold, and rose gold. Do not miss this collection. Plus 10% of the proceeds go to fighting anxiety and depression. You're not going to want to miss it because, of course, I am so about supporting people that go through anxiety and so forth, especially depression. I've really battled anxiety my whole life. So this is a very special cause. And of course, the amazing product is awesome. I love rocking it. And it's an awesome Christmas gift or any kind of gift for the holidays that you're going to be giving people out gifts for. Thanks so much for checking that out. Now, of course, we are at this week where I've been saying this for a long time. Okay, I've been saying this for a long time. I've been preparing people for the big shift, which is coming in here into December. So we don't have a lot of time left, people. And we have some of the most beautiful aspects I've ever seen in astrology happening this week. At the same time, we also have a pretty gnarly one. So we're going to talk about a couple things. Let's get the weird stuff out first, which is Mercury Retrograde's over. Finally, all right, on Wednesday, we're going to have Mercury Retrograde over. And this Mercury Retrograde covered all of a whole time in Scorpio. So this has been really going deep into really trying to understand what we really want in our lives. You know, we've had the sun in Scorpio. We're finishing the sun in Scorpio this week. And so there's been a lot of questions, especially with this North Node that's been in Cancer, where we're trying to fulfill our lives emotionally to feel comfortable because we have big choices in our life about our karmic choices, about our big destinations that we want to go in our life. But we don't want to go there without any emotional supplies. That's the best way to put it. It's kind of like going on a trail without food. And so Mercury Retrograde has been really covering so much as it's made aspects to Neptune. It's made aspects to Saturn. It's been making a lot of aspects. It's been really about getting to the fundamental core of making tough choices about what is not going to serve you in your life, making sure that you have to understand those changes that you have to make and to understand what changes to do. Also about where the borders and the boundaries are between the things in your life that are not serving you. And this has been a very important Mercury retrograde. I'm glad that it's over. You know, it doesn't matter how Mercury retrograde works. This one I think was a lot lighter than a lot of other ones, but it could have felt much more deep as far as like, wow, you had to confront a lot of deep stuff. You had to go into some of the yucky stuff. It also could be a little bit lonely, right? It could be a lot of energy to try and connect, but like an understanding that is hard to find about, you know, well, what am I going to connect fully to? Am I fully in? Am I fully out? There's a lot of these wish-washy questions. But we are finally ending that here on Wednesday at such a pivotal time. That's because Mars has now entered Scorpio. Remember, it spent the last 6 weeks in Libra. So we were really on the fence, plus with the Mercury retrograde. I mean, talk about being on the fence about a lot of things in our life, and especially about relationships. And this has been what I have been talking about for so long, relationships. And out of all the weeks, I believe, truly, we are about to see out of nowhere, there's going to be a lot of surprises this week. Some major shifting in the relationship realms that we've been waiting for a long time. That is because this week Mars, as it is now in Scorpio, its home sign, it co-rules Aries and Scorpio. And Mars has always been a penetrator in Scorpio, a fixed energy that fixates on its target and finds out intuitively and emotionally and extremely passionately how to get in. Now, this is a very intense time because this is the first time since the 1930s that Mars in Scorpio is going to oppose Uranus in Taurus. And so this is going to bring out a lot of shock and awe. Plus, you know, Uranus is at 3 degrees now. Mars is going to be at 3 degrees in their opposition this week. And we had that new moon, which was about a little over 3 weeks ago, which was in Scorpio in this exact opposition. So this is bringing up a lot. It's bringing up a lot about what these 3 weeks has been with the Mercury retrograde, what it's been about since the new moon cycle in opposition to Uranus, and trying to find tribe, trying to find people, trying to find the better life. We have been searching and searching in the deepest realms. We've been going through the temples of our life, our deeper emotions. Where is this extreme fortune of gold or this buried treasure? You know, we're all pirates right now, like on a ship looking for this shit. But the biggest thing about the relationship shift is that Mars, I think, one, because it's actually like, no more hanging on the fence. I know what I want. Like, let's make this happen or not, or let's penetrate as far as like, let's get to the bottom of where things are at. Let's identify it and let's see where things go. Also, random foreign energies or radical energies coming into your life that you have to confront. So that's what Mars is about. Mars in a confrontation with Uranus is definitely confronting lots of different energies, lots of different people, but having to forge forward. Remember, Mars is in its dignified position in Scorpio, and Uranus is not. So Mars is going to win this war, and it's definitely one where confrontation is not bad. Confrontation can bring you to actually the opening of doors to radical new directions. But if you're going to stay and hang back about things in life now, it's not going to go too well for you. No, it won't. And the reason why I say that is because, one, I think it is so important because Venus and Jupiter are finally going to meet up together this week. This is very major, especially remember Jupiter's in Sagittarius only for this week and into next week, and then it's gone. So we don't have much more time left as far as what I've been trying to say about time. Time is just running out when it comes to what doors are we opening, what are we doing. This is not a time to, you know, put stuff on the back burner. This is a time to open up as many doors, as many possibilities as you can, especially with Jupiter and Venus. This is going to be a big time about trying to understand galactic relationships, galactic projects, and how all this thing, I guess, and how does it all come together? I mean, that's very important, especially because when you take a look at this, it's happening exactly at the time when Mars and Uranus are starting their big opposition. So we're talking about really radical shifts in directions. Think of Mars like a car. Think of Uranus like a banana peel out of nowhere. Even though sometimes it can be slippery and, whoa, where am I going? It might just land you in the right space. Sometimes like we might be going the wrong direction in life and Uranus is saying, hold on, go this way. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, what? You know, it's kind of like a traffic person out in the middle of the street who's like waving the wands and it's like, hold on, no, you come this way. And it's like, wait, hold on, everybody's going that way. But actually, if I go this way, there's nobody in that line. It's like a concert. Have you ever been in a concert parking lot when it's like, I'm in the wrong line and out of nowhere that homeboy's like, yo, homeboy, you come in here, I got you. And it's like, all right, dude. When you get those moments this week, take them. Don't be that person that's like, I need to stay in a line because everybody's going this way. No. If homeboy, the universe goes, hey, I got a spot for you, come this way, just do it. And you got to have that Mars in Scorpio now. You got to put your foot on the gas. Offensive drivers are much, much better than defensive drivers. That's just proven fact. And in life, we have to be on the offense now. You got to pull that queen out now and actually use it. And with Jupiter and Venus conjunct, these are the two brightest stars in the sky. Even though they're technically planets, believe it or not, the two benefics, the brightest energies are coming in exact alignment where this galactic center energy is. You know, 26, 27 degrees is the galactic center. We are going to see Jupiter still here this week, and then Venus is going to meet up, and then they're both going to meet up at 28 degrees. And I've always said that this galactic band here is the 26 to 0 degree of Capricorn band. This is fatalistic times, and what's even more imperative to understand is the sun this week does come into Sagittarius while we are going to be having this Jupiter and Venus conjunction. So we're going to have a lot of Sagittarius, and we are switching out of Scorpio and into Sagittarius. This is Jupiter's ruling energy, right? So the sun loves to be in Sagittarius. It's been in Scorpio. It has been in a much more fixed, making squares to the dignified home of the sun, Leo, right? And this has been a time where the sun and the moon had just squared in Leo on Monday. So this is definitely us moving into having to find the passion, having to find the excitement and where the adventure goes with Mercury out of retrograde, with Mars opposed Uranus, with Venus and Jupiter conjunct. I am telling you, this is the time in your life where confrontation, taking the radical roads, opening the most powerful doors, when it comes to trying to understand new doorways, new gateways, new places to go in your life, is not a time to waste. You are not going to see this again in your life. Ever. Why do I say that? Because not only does Jupiter and Venus conjunct while the sun is there, but you got to add to the fact that Mars and Scorpio oppose Uranus. You know, Jupiter's a 12-year cycle, and Uranus is only going to be in Taurus for another, 6.5 more years. So truly, we're never going to see with Uranus and Taurus oppose Mars and Scorpio ever again. And there is this really weird dynamic element of us like having to be like, it might feel foreign, the energy that does come in. We might actually be 100% asked to expand our lives and understanding and go on adventures with energies that are going to take us to better places, but they're energies that maybe we're not used to. Maybe it's about confronting, like maybe I'm always used to taking this line and the universe is telling me to take this one. I'm going to go this way. It is definitely unpredictable accounts of people showing up in life or random events happening out of nowhere. And when you add to boot that Mercury is coming out of its retrograde and it's starting to come direct this week, it's definitely going to start moving everything along. The other thing is Neptune. Neptune is stopping. So throughout this week, you're going to see Neptune not move. We're talking about a literal minute at all, like through this whole week. It is not going to move much. And this weird aspect is going to make things feel very thin on the veil. So if you're extremely sensitive to energies right now, you're going to feel it extreme. Especially when Jupiter and Venus come together, the two benefics. It's a lot of energy. But the major thing, of course, is Saturn and Pluto are getting closer. As Saturn is gaining speed now this week, as Neptune is not, it is stopping. And so there is this weird moment in the spiritual frequencies and dimensions in the realms coming to its major last karmic step, because next week we have a new moon in Sagittarius while Neptune turns direct. And that's going to be the big shift point the last week with Jupiter in Sag. Venus will come into Capricorn, and there's not much time left because then Jupiter on the beginning of December comes into Capricorn. And so you got to really use this benefic energy. There is not going to be much. And I think it's a super important time for you to really process that about stop questioning things, confront things, start going into things. I've been talking about narrowing the field down. Well, I think that the field is pretty much narrowed down. And I think that at the same time, it was narrowed down for you to get unpredictable and unexpected random things to show up. But it's also about not being afraid of it because it's new, it's different, might even feel foreign, but it's helping you find a better position in your life. And when I just take everything in whole, let's say, and I just look at everything that's going on right now, I think that this is one of those weeks that truly will be in your journal, your memory books, your record books for your whole life. And I know that is a very big thing to say as an astrologer, but I truly mean it. I mean, if we look at everything, this is one of those times. It's a time to where we just don't want to waste the energy. Mercury is out of retrograde. So we do have the hall pass from the astrologer's kind of rule book to finally enter into things. And with Mercury still in Scorpio, even though the sun will leave Scorpio, it is going to be an interesting time to actually start to look at what we investigated, of what we can't have, what's not going to happen, and start to look at what we can rise through. The sun, of course, as it exits Scorpio, is going to be at these final last degrees where Mercury had retrograded, where Saturn and Jupiter had squared in 2015. Remember to watch that Light Reborn video I did in 2015. There's a lot about that, and this is a weird space. That Mercury is retrograded, and this is where Saturn also went direct after its end of its Scorpio reign in 2015, and where Jupiter squared it with Venus retrograde. So there's a lot that's going on right now. Now we got Jupiter and Venus together as the sun is at these degrees. I mean, it's just kind of weird when you start to really look at how astrology works and the themes that are going on. And there's a lot of healing of this last decade that's happening right now and an excitement. But it's about using this excitement to actually get yourself somewhere, get some sort of understanding. Because one thing about the final degrees of Sagittarius, where we're going to start to see Jupiter and especially Venus this week, is about where are you aiming in your life? At least have an aim, at least have a belief, at least have some sort of, all right, I'm going in this direction. And relationships are a big deal because of the course, as Saturn and Pluto are entering their conjunction point here in so close of time. I mean, we're literally looking at over this next 6-week period, which kind of blows my mind. Because if you really look at it, I mean, January 12th is when they conjunct. We're already here at the last weeks of November. And so, you know, this Mars and Scorpio transit, here it is. It's going to be a 6-week transit. And right as it's ending, you know, we come to Mars and Sag, bam, we got a Saturn-Pluto conjunction. So we're only one more Mars cycle through a sign away. And so this is going to be a very important time with Mars at dignified position. So we have Mars dignified, we have Saturn dignified, we have Jupiter dignified, we have Neptune dignified. Very strong energies. The biggest planets are dignified. The strongest planet, Mars, is dignified. And Neptune, which, you know, is one of the bigger planets, it is in its most vulnerable, most veiled, most, I would say, karmic state whenever it is at that, and especially at 15 degrees, it's halfway through the transit stopping and going to come direct next week. So here's these last moments where the veil is super thin for this great benefic energy to turn on at the galactic moment, but you have to take it seriously. Where do you align with in your life? What are your beliefs? What is the mission you came here to do? This isn't about just trying to find basic needs. I think that's the lesson that Uranus is going to teach Mars in opposition. Mars in Scorpio definitely wants what it wants. It also is a survival energy, but it also is like learning to have quality. Like you just don't need to survive off eating, you know, the little bunnies that walk around, little raptor, you know, like there's other things out there. And I think that this is a time for us to realize that we just don't need to take our deeper root kind of chakra energy as our needs, but we need to raise this with this Uranian, Taurus, throat chakra value of a higher quality of life. There's this higher quality of things, and getting rid of the beliefs that that's not possible. Because if you look at this Mercury retrograde, it brought up a lot of doubts. And it brought up a lot of fears. And I guarantee you, you made it through those fears. So with this Jupiter-Venus, it's the ultimate, not only just about relationships, not only just about projects, but what it's truly about is about opening the doorway to your perspective of your own values, which Uranus and Taurus is trying to have us really start to believe in a higher value system that is possible to achieve by trying new things, by accepting energies we've never tried before, by seeing things that we've never seen before, and by being willing to accept those new things. And Mars is going to have to confront that. You know, Mars has not had to deal with this since the 30s. In the 1900s, by the way. We are in the 2000s. So, you know, like, we're talking about last century. You know what I mean? Like, for real. So there's these old survival needs, and what we look at in life as far as what defines our sexual needs, our passionate needs, that have not been redefined by better quality of things since the 1930s. So if everybody wants to actually take this into a deep, like, let's go consciously deep into this. When we talk about toxic masculinity, all the guys have been running off of an old system since the late 1930s of our desires and our wants and our needs. And let's look at the people at those times in the 1930s that were kind of defining how masculinity should be. I wouldn't really relate with those old dudes anymore, you know what I mean? So this is actually the masculine within all of us, feminine or masculine or however you want to define yourself. But we all have both inside of us. But all of us, and having to find a much more higher resolution to a better way to have our needs met, to have more quality, to also take in the future and where it's going. And it doesn't mean that we have to like never have desires or never have our sexual needs, met, or never have those thirst in our life, especially with this North Node in Cancer needing to be fulfilled. It just means that why fill up with a bag of chips when you can have a meal? Why fill up with just, the water off the side of the street off a hose when you can now go get alkaline water for probably the quarters in your pocket in a bottle? Like, it's time in your life now to no longer accept these dissolution of boundaries when it comes to a better and quality and higher echelon that's connected to a galactic mission. And this comes up to the galactic mission aspect. Are you ready in your life for your mission? This is literally Jupiter and Venus in a conjunction. This is Mars and Scorpio in an opposition to Uranus. This is a rocket ship firing off for us, folks. And it's out of nowhere. So I would be prepared. Who knows what's going to come in? Who knows? It'll always be the thing where you're like, what the heck? How and this did happen? Now, I will say that the confrontation that is in the negative, that will be a little bit weird, because remember, Mars brings up fights, especially in Scorpio. I know I got Mars in Scorpio. You all know I could even get in fights with you all sometimes. You know what I mean? But Mars in Scorpio definitely is a fighter. And when it's opposed to Uranus, it's about other people and their values. And it's like, whoa, okay, let's calm down here. Everybody has their own unique values, but the confrontation is when it deals with Uranus and other people. So everybody has their own wants, and this is where possession comes in. That's right, I said possession. Where do we get the whole term possession? Possessive. People are possessive over people because they look at people like possessions. Nobody is called to anybody in this life as theirs. And what I'm going to see this is going to be very crazy because it might trigger people. But in the 30s, when we started to see this Uranus and Taurus, we started to see people actually being kind of cattled as like, these are my people, like these are my possessions. But look at this more on your own collective level and start to actually look at this weird fact that, like, with Uranus, we are all part of this collective. And the ultimate test, and I've said it before, with Taurus is, how are we going to become a collective if everybody's possessing other people? Like, well, that's my ex-girlfriend, or that is my, best friend's cousin, and like, you shouldn't talk to them, or you shouldn't do this, or this is going to be some crazy tests, because when it comes to galactic center aspects of what you try to understand of Jupiter and Venus, this is a higher up knowledge that we don't even know about from a higher source. Neptune retrograde at these last parts where it's retrograding of spirituality is the one calling the show. So when you get Uranus in opposition to Mars, some egos are going to be deflated extreme if you are possessive of a person who ends up maybe doing a project with somebody you don't like, maybe even ends up hooking up and becoming in a whole entire marriage with someone else, or that person breaking up and going to, that's the craziness that I'm going to start to bring up of, let's be ready for the Capricorn shit, because it's like, it's a freaking destiny world we live in. There is something to say about this world that is destined, and I'm about to bring up that we're about to go through a Jerry Springer show when it comes to this whole relationship thing, and I wrote about it in my magazine a year ago, and it's blowing my mind reading it again, because are you truly ready to see the world of relationships change forever? That's what Saturn and Pluto, when they meet in January of 2020 is about on the 12th, because that ends the cycle from the Libra cycle of 82 and 83. And I don't think it's a coincidence that Saturn and Pluto are closing in on each other, and the end of that long cycle, that long ago, is happening. That we just so happen to have the first time since the 30s, Mars to oppose Uranus, which is even a longer transit, while Mars is in its home sign of Scorpio, dealing with sex and possessions and desires, and Uranus dealing with people, and everybody has their own values and what they like, and you have to learn to accept what people like and what they don't like. So if your ego is in a possessive state over people or over the way that things should look, well, I'm here to tell you, don't go there, because Jupiter and Venus are trying to say, there is something for you. This is where it starts to bring up kids when they, start to battle their siblings or their cousins or anybody when it comes to holidays and which gift was better than theirs or anything like that, and you got this and I didn't get that, blah, 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 blah. It brings up that kind of energy. But this is where you have to, you see that, hey, hold on one second. Sure, Bobby and Sue got that. I haven't even shown you what you're getting yet, and you're already fucking flipping out on me. That's what God's saying. Like, don't flip out on me. Do you think like, if Santa Claus is actually real, now that I'm actually thinking about it, wouldn't Santa Claus just know exactly what to get you to make you feel right? Stop looking at everybody else and what happens and what they get and what happens and all that shit. And you know how gift exchanges work? They will fuck you over. I've been in plenty of gift exchanges where I see people like, hey, well, let's trade that so you get that. Welcome to Uranus and Taurus. Let's take a look at the charts and see what's going on. Reminds me, gift exchanges, you know, they're very weird times, gift exchanges. They're like, they're a weird moment. They're a weird moment in life. And drama comes up during gift exchanges. Sometimes people are left with gifts that they don't want. But if you actually think, anytime you've been in a gift exchange, and maybe some people haven't, I don't know. Maybe there's some people out there who haven't. I have been through many. Even in school, we go through things like this. Like when it's like the teacher starts to pick where you're going to sit in class. It's like, oh man, you're putting me next to that person? They smell. Or they don't have cool crayons. There's this notion of the people who are out there who are going, I only want to accept what I want to look like. We understand what our values are, but this is where we have to trust a higher realm. That the higher realm knows where our values are at. So it's not about getting rid of your values of like, I have control because I know my worth and I'll only accept what comes in that's of my worth. This is where you also have to keep a door open with Jupiter, Venus. Like, will you trust? Like, I know I bring up a lot of Disney movies lately, but I'll bring up Pinocchio. Like, yeah, you know how he became a real boy? A fucking Jiminy Cricket and a fairy godmother, okay? These two are together now to make your real situation start to come up about your life. This is where Pinocchio can become the real boy. But are you going to fuck up and go to the fucking island and start smoking cigars and fucking not let your conscience be your guide? And put your ego first and like, that's mine. This is not that time for that. This is where you just gotta just throw it up in the air and be like, fucking Santa's amazing. You know, it was the years I remember as a kid when I didn't expect shit from Santa that I got the best shit. It was the years when I expected shit, I didn't get shit. So I think that this is about letting go of expectation of what to have and how it should look. And I think that this is much more about accepting the doorway open and seeing what beautiful gifts come. Sure, Mars is saying to be proactive, take offense, take action. But it's not about taking this kind of really weird egoic, like, hey, like I know what's the best for me and I'm, you know, it's just like, what's up? What's up in your field? What makes sense? Where does karma come in? Where does Neptune teach you to let go? This is the ultimate teaching of letting go of what your mind thinks. And possessiveness. Possessiveness is going to be huge. People who think they own you, people who think, you know, you see it a lot. But it will cause some crazy fights with Mars opposed Uranus. And I don't want anybody to get in those fights because this is a beautiful thing. But people might not see the gift that's happening by being caught up in, well, I don't care even if I got this power and I wanted a blue one and blah, blah, blah. And they don't even realize that, like, at the back of the case is like more blue than purple. You know what I mean? So let's go into the chart, see what's going on, well, let's look at this Tuesday here. A lot going on, actually, because this is the last day Mercury Retrograde as I'm doing this. Big time. at 11 degrees and 38 minutes. And by the way, if you do want to watch the rest of this show with the charts, make sure that you are a subscriber to highvibe.tv. And for those that are subscribed, thank you so much for being a subscription and being part of High Vibe. We love bringing this show to you. And of course, if you're on YouTube watching this, you can hear the audio of it if you want to. I will always be there for you, like I said, and I have lots of other shows, but if you definitely want this show full blown, and you can watch it live on our apps, check out highvibe.tv. So with Mercury retrograde here, if you see it, I mean, it's like clear as day. You can see this really weird aspect we've got going on with this Jupiter-Venus is there's technically a semi-square, all right? And that's why the search of trying to understand what is this gift coming is extreme, okay? On top of that, look at that. Mars at 0 degrees of Scorpio. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Finally, we got some energy to start to propelling forward. And if you look at this, there it is. You can start to see. Look at that. Look at that opposition to Uranus. It's starting to build. And with Jupiter and Venus here, as you can see right here, you've got this 27 and 22, right? There really is no negative aspects to this thing. I mean, sure, Chiron is involved, but you got to see it's in a separate sign, but there is a square that is building to that. So this is, again, kind of building into the whole notion of when I say, okay, there might be some weird things going on about how we accept these gifts. We got to let go of our own ego's guard and our understanding, especially since Mars is in Scorpio, and the dispositor of Aries, of course, is Mars, and Mars happens to be in Scorpio. And so our deeper needs and wants will get met by us letting go of the vulnerability of, you know, how we expect things to look, how we expect it should be, and our ego's identity, and actually step forward much more better into this Chiron kind of like, hey, let's just see what shows up. And as we're speaking tonight, as you can see here, we got the moon that's in Leo that'll be coming out of that into Virgo. And this Virgo energy is going to be making a lot of great aspects. The only negative one it'll be making too is Neptune. But this moon in Virgo this week is going to be doing a lot. And I'm going to be showing you that. But as we finish this moon in Leo here, it's just made squares to the sun in Scorpio. So as we come to that 3/4 square, which means that we are about a week and a half away from that new moon, which will be in Sag with Jupiter in there. But I will be honest with you, and I did not bring it up in the actual talk form, a major dark moon is coming this weekend in Scorpio while Jupiter and Venus meet up. And that is a whole nother thing, and I'm going to have to show you in the charts to make you understand that one because it is a lot. But I mean, really, it's like Tuesday is kind of the getting ready. It's the sun square the moon. It's intense. We all want things. We all want things to be a certain way. But we, you know, Mercury retrograde is kind of like, hold on a second. I just gathered a lot of data in the computer, and it's like kind of waiting for top secret files to come out from the government. They take a minute. You know what I mean? They take a minute. And you can see here with Neptune at 1556. I mean, it stopped. It's not moving. This Neptune's going to be here and just stay here at the 1550s. So Neptune, of course, is making trines over to Mercury, of course, and we're going to see that again. But you know, we're not really seeing some of the weirder stuff. I mean, sure, like we can look at this yod to Chiron with the moon and Mars to Chiron coming in Tuesday. So if you see that, Mars and the moon are in sextile, and that creates a yod up to Chiron. So as we have stepped into the moon, into Virgo with Mars and Scorpio, there's this deep need to change our reality. But with Chiron there in Aries, it's almost like, we almost feel like there's no way it'll turn out the way that we want it to look. Like, is there any way? It's almost like Beauty and the Beast. Like the Beast is like, there's no way I'm ever gonna have Belle show up and love me and turn me back into my normal self. Like, I'm just screwed. Even though the willpower for that's there. Think about that in your life. Are you playing a Beauty and the Beast movie in your life? Probably. But put yourself in the Beast mode. Like, damn, no one's gonna come and love me this way. even if you were with someone, no one's going to come in here and love me this way. Like, this is impossible. Like, I have to wait for some person to come, and that person to come, I hope they're hot and beautiful. Like, you know, there's that whole Uranus and Taurus thing. Like, I hope they're beautiful and exciting. If I am going to get anything random, I hope it's really good looking, like Belle, and actually love me, and then actually really love me, and then actually free me of my curse, and then actually love me. Like, wow, that's a lot. I mean, he had Chip. He had a couple. He had some random things to keep him like alive. But I don't know if you remember, he was pretty wasted away in that bedroom, tripping out. And I think there's a lot of that going on with the collective right now, hidden. And that's Mercury in Scorpio. We've all been living in our own little hidden dungeons. All right, here's Wednesday. Things get hot, hot, hot as we start here on Wednesday, because we are out of Mercury retrograde, baby. Woo! Now, if you actually take into consideration now, the only planets that are retrograde is Neptune, which comes out on the 27th of November. Okay? Uranus, which comes out at the beginning of January. That's it, folks. Now, Chiron is coming out in December, but Chiron's not a planet, but we'll add it in there because we don't want to make it feel like a weirdo, because there already is one. So, things are pretty moving forward now, especially with Mars in a strong position and with Mercury out of retrograde. And look at the sun, 28 degrees. Now, this is very interesting because this is the degree spot, and right before at 27, coming into the day before on Tuesday, this is where Mercury went retrograde, right? So this is where the shadow degree is, and the sun is passing this point. So we are moving into, you know, the sun, Jupiter, Venus all coming into this zone where the sun's trying to catch up to these two benefics. Like, get me out of this Scorpio thing. Let me transcend. There's a transcending moment Wednesday, especially with the moon in Virgo, because that moon in Virgo is making a great aspect to Mercury when it's out of its retrograde. So at the beginning of it, it might feel a little weird with the yod, with the moon, you know, yachting because of the sextile to Mars to Chiron, but that's over. Wednesday comes, the moon is in sextile to Mercury, now direct. So the moon in Virgo, remember the dispositor of Virgo is Mercury, and there's Mercury out of retrograde in Scorpio, and the moon is like, okay, well, at least I'm not in Scorpio, thank God, but at least, hey, at least Mercury's direct, I'll take that. And this is us starting to get the wheels turning, starting to see the changes in the reality really fast, like wham, reality shifts, reality checks, reality intensity. And with the sun at the last degrees here, Scorpio, transcending this. And with the moon, you know, it is at a position to where it's going to make more positive aspects than negative aspects. Now, the only thing is on Tuesday night or Wednesday night, the moon will oppose Neptune, as you see there. And with that opposition, you know, as Neptune is stopped, as we're looking at emotionally trying to understand the changes in our reality, and Mars is ready to make those changes and transform any of energies or extreme, there is this deep, you know, kind of lost thing of like, well, where is it? There's a lot of this where. And a lot of it is almost having to ask God. I think that, you know, one thing about Scorpio in the last degrees here of the sun here and with Mercury retrograde done, you know what to ask for now. So ask. Believe it or not, if you believe in magic and if you believe in Santa Claus or anything like it, or if you even believe in God, that's, I think, the biggest thing. Do you believe that you could actually have the magic of your life? Ask for it, though, so God actually knows what to bring you. Because think about this, when you look at this with Venus and Jupiter. So Jupiter is Zeus, and the one thing about Zeus is something that, you know, gave all of the other gods powers. So Jupiter is the Almighty, right? It is the God of the gods. And with Jupiter on Venus, the goddess of love, there is something to say about this goddess of love energy. And for the fact that it's at the galactic center point, I mean, I would say that this is what we've been waiting for. This is exciting. And, you know, Venus at 23 degrees here, you know, as it comes into 24, you'll see in the next day that follows. You know, remember, this is where Jupiter had retrograded. So this is kind of an interesting zone. where Venus is finally going to cross this, and we are coming into what this whole entire preparation aspect is for, if all this Capricorn stuff is coming. Remember that Saturn as well was here this time last year as it was exiting and coming into Capricorn. So Jupiter is now going to bring up, you know what's crazy, and this is some real truth shit. Like the whole entire idea of building high vibe with Abby and Craig and me, all was during exactly 2 years ago, this time right now, where the phone calls, where the contracts, where it's looking, getting the building, was doing all that stuff, was right now when Saturn was at these degrees. And I was telling people, Saturn's at the galactic center, go people, go, even though it's going to be tough, but go. Now here's Jupiter, and I think it's ironic. I think it just blows my fucking mind as I'm sitting here 2 years later with all three, although Abby's not here today, but we just were. And it's actually real. And it's expanding and it's going where it's supposed to go. So there's this beautiful aspect in your life. What did you decide to do with your life 2 fucking years ago? What did you decide to do with your life 12 years ago? Because remember, I've showed you in charts that Jupiter and Pluto met up at these last degrees, and now we're going to get a Jupiter-Venus conjunction. Wow! The two benefics. To pay off those that put in the hard work 2 years ago with decisions, to pay off those that made the dedication of Jupiter and Pluto 12 years ago. It's a lot to take in. Now, as we move to Thursday, Sun is on the last day of Scorpio. So this is an edgy day. Sun in Scorpio always is a little edgy when it leaves. Because anytime you leave a water sign, you're leaving kind of that whole darkness to the dawn, right? Kind of vibe. Like, I mean, if you really think about it, whenever you're in a water sign, whether it's Pisces coming into Aries, whether it's Cancer coming into Leo, whether it's Scorpio coming into Sag, right? Scorpio's like, oh my gosh, I've been just trying to survive and I've been in the deeps of it and I'm in Sag and it's like a big whole new world. Remember, Walt Disney is the guy who made Disneyland and Disney and everything, and that he's a Sag. Like, there's that whole Disneyland opens up like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? There's all this, whenever we move from a water to a fire, there's that, wow. And the most extreme is 29 Pisces and 29 Scorpio, I would say. And especially that 29 Scorpio, because there's that Phoenix that rises energy, right? It's like you're ready to rise. Mercury's now online. Mercury's now at 1 degree. Holy mother. That means it's exactly, as you can see here now, within 2 degrees of the opposition. And we are going to have the moon on this day be making some very tense aspects to Venus and Jupiter. So this is where, if you get too picky about things, especially emotionally, but it might also play the right thing. Maybe, you know, there's doors opening that just don't feel in your alignment in your life. Or you're going to be playing a lot with life. There's a lot of flexibility emotionally. There's a lot that's trying to formulate, like Plato with Jupiter and Venus, about what is the gift that the universe is going to give us. And Mercury's out of retrograde, and Mars starting to oppose Uranus. Like, maybe we do need to accept a little bit with that Uranus in opposition. We need to confront those new things that are going to come in, right? But what's also interesting to me as well, as the moon made trines to Saturn and Pluto, there's this reminder of like, well, what's on the long-term list and what's on the long-term goals that we want to reach and what are the big commitments in life that we want to go towards? Well, that moon in Virgo is definitely saying like, let's connect this to, let's see bigger. Let's not look small. Let's not look small. Let's look big. Remember, Jupiter and Venus are much more powerful than the moon in Virgo, especially together. Jupiter is dignified and it's got its other benefic with it. So the moon is a benefic, but the moon also is in a sign of Virgo where it's more Mercury based, and that's a mental sign, and the moon would rather be in a benefic energy, and technically Virgo is neutral. Neutral. There is no benefic, there is no malefic energy. So the moon's neutral, so you're kind of in an emotional neutral place as you're observing, well, all these different gifts, or how is this gift going to come? But also in a neutral position, don't choose a negative or a dark side. The sun in Scorpio is saying like, let's just transcend. let's just transcend and let's make change. Let's learn to accept things and let's see what the fucking formulation is going to turn out like. No matter how crazy it is, Uranus at 3 degrees. And now the other weird thing is Mars is going to make a quincunx over here to Uranus or to Chiron. And so with Mars and it's at its strong position, remember Mars is ruled by Aries as well. And that dispositor of Aries is Mars, and Mars is in Scorpio, so it's powerful. And Chiron here is in the house of Aries, which is Mars' house too. So there is this, you know, are you going to fuck up some really good gifts by your own weird life situations, like criticism, being nitpicky, being, you know, being more closed than open, especially with the sun at 29 degrees. This is a day to pay attention to. This is a day not to, do not fuck up. Now that could be said either way. Like if the reality is really negative for you and it's toxic and it has not been working, Virgo, Jupiter and Venus are trying to say like, hey, let's open doors to a life that'll work. Are you down for that? Instead of being like, well, I mean, it doesn't work, but it actually works because I'm used to trying to make it work. Oh my God, those situations you got to run the fuck away from. So don't fuck those ones up by going and staying in that shit. But if at the same time it's like, man, yeah, my reality is not really getting the benefits I want in my life. And the universe is like, hey, let me show you. Are you ready to make this change with me? Are you ready to accept this? And Mars with that quincunx over to Chiron is saying like, are you ready to put your defenses and your ego down? Are you ready to, like, Mars wants to go in. Chiron's kind of like, well, I guess if we're going to go in, fuck it. Like, it might be a good thing. Like, I'm not getting what I want. You know? So there is something to say about this. Trying to get what you want is going to be about whether or not you are either A, stuck in a loop, a hamster wheel of crap, and you're not willing to leave that, or B, you're in a hamster wheel of not receiving anything and you're just tired and you want something beautiful, but you're too afraid to jump in the pool. It's kind of like somebody who's like at a pool party. He's like, you know, gosh, everybody's having a good time, but I'm just going to sit here and hopefully somebody will come speak to me. Well, I think that this proactive energy of Mars and everything is like, let me just put myself in the situation. Maybe I don't know how it's going to turn out. Maybe I don't need to define how well it is, but great things happen when you just show up and go into the world. I mean, as an old clubber, and I still club once in a while, but as like an old school clubber, like, you know what? It wasn't like I went to clubs being like, oh, I can't wait. I know I'm going to see this person. I know I'm going to see that person. Because every time when I went on the party buses with all these people, and they'd be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to see this, and I'm going to see that. I'm like, okay, yeah, right. But I never went that way. It was like much more when you just show up and go, hey, I'm just showing up, and I'm going to show up, and I'm going to penetrate in, and I'm going to see where it goes. Those always turn out the best. There's something to say about like, just like, hey, if everybody's in the pool, don't be that person that's outside and be like, no, I'm nitpicky. You know what? I don't want to get a cramp, or you know what? I didn't bring a bathing suit. It's like, just go fucking to the pool. You never know. Like the love of your life, the most greatest thing in your life might just pull you in and be like, come here. You didn't need a fucking wetsuit or you didn't need a bathing suit anyway. Jump, you know what I mean? Oh, shit. So Friday. Are y'all ready, folks? Because the sun comes into Sagittarius. So happy birthday to the Saggies. And we are now in a position where the sun is happy. We have Venus and Jupiter. Look at this. Galactic center, baby. 26-27. Holy moly moly. Can you believe that? Amazing. But here's that Mercury still semi-squaring. Weird. And I think it's weird because it's like you trying to go way too deep and figure things out. Like, just use Mars. Just use Mars. Don't use Mercury. Mercury's not the best in Scorpio. It gets too caught up, obsessive, possessive, trying to figure things out way too deep. The sun in Sag is like, let's go have an experience. Jupiter and Venus, the benefics, are like, let's go have an experience. These two, even though they're happening in a great spot as far as where they're at galactically, they are squaring over to Chiron. They are making a semi-square to Mercury. That's just come out of retrograde. That's still stopped at 11 degrees. So, you know, there is something to say about this. Plus, with the moon in Libra, with the sun arriving in the Sag, there is this, let's go have connection. Let's go experience connection. Let's go experience beauty. Let's go experience harmony. Don't let your fucking little mind in Scorpio get all dark and say no and blah, 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 blah. This is time to not fuck this one up. So this is another do not fuck up day, but at least the moon's in Libra, so it makes us a little bit more compromising. But with Mars there at 2 degrees and 18 minutes, so hold on one second. So let me erase that. So yeah, okay. So as we can see, Mars here at 2, look at that, 3 degrees. Wow, look at that. Kind of gnarly. And you can still see that Mars making the quincunx over that in conjunction point over to Chiron. So I think that seeing both these angles, Mars is getting attacked, not like the movie, although maybe. Did you ever see the movie Mars Attacks? It's a good one, actually. There's just some crazy-ass alien babies, you know what I mean? Woo! But what's interesting is with the sun now in Sag, it's like experience. Mars wants to penetrate to have, but it's going to confront like, ooh, I have to go into new territories, new areas, and I have to going into areas that are going to test my worth. So I'm going to use the pool analogy again, because this might be you trying to alienate yourself from things that you actually want, because you're like, well, maybe I don't look good enough, or maybe, you know, they're wearing this and I'm wearing that, or I don't know them, so I'm too afraid to go there. These are self-worth issues that are going to come up about having it. Or it's kind of like my ex is there. I can't go over there. Like, then it's with my old friend, or it's with this, or it's with that, or it's with that. It's like, fucking just be you and just show up, and you got to own your self-worth now. That's the other powerful thing of the King of Kings of Jupiter, right? In Sag with Venus, meaning that you must own your self-worth, and that's where good luck comes. So the fortune of this, the buried treasure that we have been looking for in Scorpio, that Mercury is in semi-square to, is that the buried treasure is in you experiencing life and not letting your self-worth and doubts and fears hold you from experiencing. It also means that if you see something beneficent into your life, you must communicate it. You must talk to it. You must try and send some sort of telephone signal to it. You've got to at least make an offensive, send a page out. You know, if you see someone that's cute, you got to be like, hey, you're cute. You never know. But there's that insecurity that brings up and all that shit. You got to erase that, because Uranus is teaching you, you will receive new higher realms. So it's especially not things that you already know. Like, it's really easy. I'll use a really good example for me. Do you know how easy it is for me to go up to somebody like, hey, what's your sign? Like, you know, I mean, come on. Like, I'm not going to do this shit every day. It's pretty easy for me to do that. I have no problems doing that. But Uranus and Taurus is going to teach me other things like, hey, what's that? I don't know, something I don't know about. I know a lot of things, but not everything. I don't know. What's that fucking, you know, jewelry about? I don't know shit about jewelry, to be honest with you. Hence, I wear so much. Crazy it is. It looks like people are probably like, what the fuck is this fool wearing? So, you know, it's like trying to find new ways to go into things and not let your self-worth, and also not be a recluse. I'm going to be very honest with you. Reclusing during this period, you will be so upset. You'll feel like you missed out on something. You're going to feel destiny at a high energy. Because here, as we look at Neptune 1555, this is where it's stopping. It's just going to stop. I think it does go to 1554. But there is this weird, like, realm between realms that's going on. And if you notice the moon, now the moon's going to make a lot of interesting aspects, as the moon, of course, in Libra is going to make great aspects to Venus and Jupiter. But before that, it's going to have to square over to Saturn and Pluto, which we'll show. There's a lot going on here. But also, this is kind of this is the endings of this north node at 9 degrees, as it will start to come into 8 degrees. which is a very interesting number because it deals with infinity. And it deals with Saturn. And it does deal with, you know, the way that even astrology works and the galactic center works as far as how we go through the Milky Way galaxy and the sun. So there's a lot that's coming up here with this North Node about to hit 8. And it's all when all this tension, all these buildups are about to begin. Good news that the sun is in Sagittarius because the sun would rather be here. It's in fire, and this is the sun. Now, now this is where we're going to take this to another whole level. Quantum level shit, okay? Quantum computers just got fucking figured out by Google. So quantum shit's possible. This is going to be the last 30 days of the sun in a fire sign. And then all the quadrants, the darkest quadrants for the sun, all coming up for 120 days after this 30 days that you're going to have to get through during the fucking most insane alignments we've seen in our lives. That 120 days, that first 3 months, Saturn and Pluto conjunction, Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn into Aquarius, Mars in Capricorn conjuncting, all that shit. I mean, it's insanity what's coming. So, you know, it's funny actually is right when the sun does come into Aries is when Saturn does come into Aquarius. So, like on the 22nd. So, you know, it's like, use this fire, use this experience, use this energy to get your energy fired up with Jupiter and Venus and all that. Because that's why I've been trying to tell people that it's just like a little bit and then it's all gone. So it's like if you knew, you know, it reminds me, and you know, Black Friday's next week. So it's like, it reminds me of Black Friday, how people go camp out, like just to get the best deal or just to get that one thing that nobody can get. Guess what? Black Friday week for your destiny. But if you're one of those people who's like, I'll wait till when it comes down in price even later, I'm too lazy, I don't want to do it. Well, I'm here to tell you that there's not going to be another fucking Black Friday sale and there's going to be no more fucking product. So don't waste it. And relationships come up huge while Jupiter and Venus are making their conjunction point. And as they do come together will be while the moon is in Libra and in Scorpio dealing with connection and relationships, and where Saturn and Pluto were in 82 and 83. And we will not see this ever again in our lives either. With Saturn and Pluto on an approach into ending a Libra and Scorpio cycle. Because remember in 84, Saturn and Pluto were in Scorpio too. Man, oh man. I'm telling you, this is once in a lifetime stuff coming up here, folks. All right, here's Saturday. And we got this moon. Das moon is in Libra, and it is going to make those hard squares to Saturn and Pluto, but we are going to see the awesome aspects to Venus, Jupiter. And also we are seeing Jupiter now at 28 degrees. This is where we saw the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction. So there's going to be a lot bringing up about the major changes and commitments you made in your life in 2007 near the end of it. That are going to come up. Venus now at the exact degree of the galactic center, 27. And the sun is going to trine Chiron. So there is an amazing moment here. This amazing moment is a massive healing to emotionally finally connect with some really positive doorways and energies. I think that this Saturday are positive things. I think that the square to Saturn and Pluto are saying like, destiny's on the line, time is running out, don't be indecisive. You know, the moon in Libra can be very indecisive, and Saturn's like, don't you dare do that, moon. Don't start fucking weighing it out too much. And fucking Pluto's like, if you fucking weigh that shit out too much, I'll fucking kill you. You know, like that's Pluto, fucking Scorpio, Capricorn, like, ah! And especially here's Mars and the moon starting to get close. So there's this intense energy coming this weekend about emotional needs and wants and passions. And Mercury now is off of the 11-degree spot, finally. And now here it is at 12 degrees moving forward. Now that semi-square is still technically there. So I just want to say that 45 degrees, you can see that 27 to 12. There's 5 degrees between 7 and 2. So that's exact, but it's to Venus. So don't start, that's too much questioning going on. Instead of trying to find answers and solutions and just having communication that's more free. It might feel a little stunted or weird. We also are going to have the sun starting to make its quincunx and in conjunction over to Uranus, as Mars and Uranus are going to start to oppose. So we're going to get into that, but I'm going to take you all to the next chart. But before we do, look at that 8 degrees. I told you all, we are going to see 8 degrees now, and 8 is a major number, especially when it comes to decision making and when it comes to stepping into some destined positions in life. And this is extreme now time, okay? Because what's weird is we just start to see the North Node here just start to stop here for fucking a while. There's something about the nodes. They go in the beginning of a sign. When they come into a sign from the backside, they fucking just sit there for fucking months. And then they finally start moving, and then they just start moving. And then once they get to the end of a sign, at the beginning of one, but they're leaving, they just stay there, and they just stay at some degrees for a while. Remember that Jupiter, when it comes to the Capricorn, will meet with the South Node at, I think it's pretty much at 8 degrees, 9 degrees. So this is going to be sitting here for a while. All right? But major choice time, and it's more of a significant time when the node is sitting at a position for a long time. All right. Sunday. Y'all ready for this? The dark moon. This is the most intense chart of the year. Well, from January 1st to November 24th, it's the most intense chart of the whole year. I've seen a lot of the charts. I've seen a lot of fucking charts in my whole life. This chart right here, the most extreme chart I've seen in like fucking probably ever, and the most intense chart we're going to see this year. But there are other charts that are coming more extreme that are coming in this next last month of 2019, believe it or not. That's why I think you should definitely get, if you haven't got it yet, the horoscope video I did, the 2020 video, because, but I will say that this is fucking extreme. So, y'all ready for this? Because I'll even do my own energy meter. So what am I putting at? I'm putting at fucking extreme. Beep, beep, beep. All right. The reason why? A dark moon in Scorpio. So look at this sun. 1 degree and 51 minutes, and there's the moon and Mars conjuncting at 3 degrees in dark. Remember that a dark moon happens when we're within minus 30 degrees of the sun and the moon approaching the sun. So we call this the balsamic phase. Why do you think it's called balsamic? Like, have you ever had balsamic vinegar? It's got that like kind of like darker aged aspect. It's an old moon. Old moon, ready to end. It also is kind of like how the cycle in a woman's menstrual cycle is that every woman has a different one, but the common average is this 28 to 30 day cycle. And those last 2 days are, I know that I'm not a woman, so I don't know. Some girls told me the last time I did this, they have 7-day periods, they have 5-day periods, they have 3-day. But the typical understanding of like the ancients and the understanding of the menstrual cycle and the moon and represents the feminine energy is that the cycle of the egg and so forth is a 2-day shedding, 2.5-day shedding process. And we're in a shedding process that's right at the top of Mars. And why is it so imperative? Because look at that Mars is in direct opposition to Uranus. So this is where things get nuts, because at the same time that this is happening on Sunday, Jupiter and Venus finally meet, and Venus will pass Jupiter as this is all happening. 28 degrees, galactic center. This is major, because now the tables are really turned. Now in your life, as you have to go in an expedition, and you cannot make this up, the sun is exactly in quincunx over to Chiron. Or sorry, trine to Chiron. And the sun is starting to, of course, make that quincunx over to Uranus. So there's a lot of weird energy going on here, okay? Okay. I don't know if people remember that movie or not from Lethal Weapon. Okay. But as this major door opens, a door must close. A major ego door that has not closed since the 1930s. And what I want to show you all, which to put this into perspective better, is let's just go to like June 21st of 1938 for shits and giggles. So there's Uranus and Taurus. This was a year where Mars was Cancer. Let's go months. Let's see where Uranus 20. You know, it's funny. I feel like this thing is off date-wise, but hold on 1 millisecond, por favor. Let's go to the real deal here, which is using an ephemeris, and then we'll put in the dates to confirm. I always recommend whenever you all want to take, and this is a little bit of an astrology lesson for you all, if you ever want to know how to really know where transits are, trust an ephemeris over a chart, number one, always. I know that might sound crazy, but it's true. 2, use a Swiss ephemeris from Astro Dientis. They are the best with ephemerises. I'm sorry to say, they are the masters of time. Go to the 20th century and go to the years in question. So I was like going, I wanted to look at 1938. Where was Uranus? Because from my recollection, Uranus, oh yeah, Uranus there in Taurus in the 38s. Yeah, oh man. So what we want to do is we want to go in 41. So you can go to the tables here. Here's Uranus still in Taurus in 1941 when America goes into war. And of course, it's always when Uranus is in at 0 degrees, or anytime Uranus is in Gemini, America enters into a big war. Just do your math. Civil War, Uranus in Gemini, and Revolutionary War, and World War II. But what you want to do is you want to see, okay, Mars in Pisces, yeah, right. Mars in Scorpio oppose Uranus. That was in 1940. So see how you do that? And then you go to 1940, and we'll go to December 1940. And we can go to December, and we can look at Mars 20, Uranus 23. So Mars here at 23, 22, 2244. So we could look at the date. This is universal time of the 24th of December, Christmas. Because 2 years after, this is how you confirm. Because Mars takes 2 years to come around, you can go to 1942. And you can do this, and you can be like, okay, Uranus is in Taurus. Look at Mars, Taurus. So that was a Mars-Uranus conjunction. Uranus is in Gemini, and it stays in Gemini, and it does not go back into Taurus, okay? So that was the last time that we could have had a Mars opposite Uranus in Scorpio with Uranus and Taurus, okay? Because Mars never went back here. So that was December 24th of 1940. So let's go to the years. We'll bring it down. We'll bring the months. We'll bring it to December. And then we'll go to days, and we'll go to 24th, and we've got Mars opposed Uranus. And we had a moon in Scorpio, just like we're having now. Now, it would be interesting to see on December 24th of 1940 what was going on that Christmas Eve. We had Pluto in Leo, and this is, remember, was Saturn square Pluto. So as we're coming into Saturn-Pluto conjunction, this was such an extreme time because it was Saturn squaring Pluto. Now we're in the Saturn-Pluto conjunction point, okay? Very interesting stuff when you start going into this stuff. Now, of course, Saturn and Pluto did meet, and then, of course, they conjuncted in Libra and stuff, so it's not like, oh, this is when that happened. No. But there's something to say about the last time that Mars and Uranus were in opposition was in December 24th of 1940. And what you would do then is then you would go, okay, you would just say 1940, and you would just put it in. And this is, I'm just teaching you how to be a good astrologer, and we're doing this together because it's going to be fun. There were major events. World War II, the Axis of Powers assumes control of the war in Germany. Okay, new colonel. The Winter War. This is a lot of World War II, as you can see. It's all over the place. But let's go to December. Let's just skip this, even though this was major. This is where Adolf Hitler surveys newly defeated Paris and now occupied France. You got to remember that Mars opposed Uranus. The last time that it happened, literally that year, Hitler took over France and was hanging out in front of the Eiffel Tower. I don't know if y'all remember that one, but I mean, I wasn't born then, but it's a pretty big thing that happened in the world, that changed the world. All right, December 24th was Gandhi, Indian spiritual nonviolence leader, writes a second letter to Adolf Hitler, addressing him as my friend and requesting him to stop the war Germany had begun. I can't make that shit up. Unless we're in a total, whatever you call it, a fucking, what do you call it? Mandala effect. But I didn't know Gandhi wrote a letter to his second letter to Adolf Hitler, addressing him as my friend and requesting him to stop the war Germany had begun. Right after Mars opposed Uranus for the last time, FDR, who was our president in America, in a fireside chat to the nation, declares that the United States must become the great arsenal of democracy. What's crazy is, I don't know if you all heard in the news, that Donald Trump is talking about doing a fireside chat. No joke. Watch this. This will blow your mind. Fireside chat on television. Trump says he wants to read Ukraine transcript to people. And they're going to bring up that the last time that it happened was with FDR, because no president has done that since FDR. I mean, if these people were good. Sitting behind the resolute desk at an interview, at some point I'm going to sit down perhaps at a fireside chat television. I'll read the transcript. I'm surprised that they don't go into the history. Oh, so MSNBC did it. I guess he was serious about it and he didn't do it, which is kind of interesting. Oh, see, Trump made the suggestion that he might revive the sort of fireside chats popularized by FDR in an interview Thursday with the Washington Examiner. So, when we go back to this in our life, let's go back to today. But I want you all to know that a dark moon's happening. And there was a moon in Scorpio the last time that the Mars opposed Uranus, for the last time that this has happened. And it was in December of 1940. Exactly a year after that was, oh gosh, I'm all over the place today, but was Pearl Harbor. So, these are gnarly times. In your life, what do you need to end? Gandhi tried to end Hitler, right? Even called him my friend. Uranus, right? Uranus is friends. Are you going to accept, too, what's coming into your life? Like, what if Hitler had ended the war, by Gandhi's letter? What would have happened? So whatever comes your way, don't fight against it. Don't start to put your ego so fucking head up your ass like Hitler did. Because Hitler's downfall was after that letter. He thought he was so high on life then. Right? Like, oh, I took over France. I'm sitting on the Eiffel Tower. And you remember he did that whole display with the train? And this whole signing of the agreement, and like, because he was just like trying to just totally just like demoralize everybody and put Germany back on the map in such a way. He was so high on that he couldn't even look at a letter from Gandhi and be like, oh yeah, I'm not ending this thing. I'm going to win. With Chiron, especially in Aries, like, I'm sorry to say, folks, like, don't turn all Hitler on me. Like, this is a time where we need to accept gifts, and they're going to come from random places. How random is Gandhi hitting up Hitler with that? How random is it that right after that there's a fireside chat with FDR, which exactly is what Trump was talking about during this time in the buildup of this. You can't make this shit up. So if you trust me all with your week and what's coming up in the astrology, Sunday is a day that you want to pay the most attention to in your life, because this is where you can open up doors, but you're going to have to close a major one. So you can open up doors to, like how Gandhi, like, let's say if Hitler accepted Gandhi and ended the war, could have changed the whole facet of not only millions and millions of people not dying. I bet you Hitler would have lived. I bet you he could have kept Germany, but he would have had to give back a lot of the land. And maybe it would have been a whole different situation. But he would have had to close the war. So what war are you closing in your desires and in your edge and your needs that you need to close in order to open up to a whole new world that's going to bring you to a better place? And this is where this is how the gift will come in your life. This is the only way the gift will come into your life. So it is a major time in people's lives to where it's not a time to, I don't think that you can mess it up, but with Mercury there in that semi-square to this Jupiter-Venus, like don't let your mind be like, well, I need to keep looking at this deeper. Like, you already had a Mercury retrograde. You've thought long enough. Sag is not about the mind as far as thoughts go. It's about belief, experience. Go through an experience you've never been through. Accept things from other people and other people's points of view and values, and rise up to this beautiful occasion. And Mars opposed Uranus is going to be confronting things. And we are going to see fights and battles. We are going to see people say, fuck you, I don't want that. We are going to see people be possessive over things. We are going to see people possessive over people. We are going to see crazy experiences, but there's massive healing that can happen by just going through experience and throwing your ego down and watching kind of like things turn out. Even the beast fought Belle, who fucking saved his ass and made his life much better. But I don't know if he would have got away with it on this transit if she would have showed up on November the 24th of 2019. Did you hear that, beast? I heard he got back into beast mode again. I heard he fucked up and didn't. Some homeless person came up to him and he was like, fuck you, get out of my house, and fucking bleh. It all happened again. All right, Monday, last day, literally last day of Venus and Sag, and then it comes with the South Node with Saturn and Pluto. Sorry to say here, folks, this isn't the best aspect for when Venus comes into this space. This is also the last of the dark moon before we come into a new moon on the 26th, okay? Now, the new moon will be happening way late that night in the 26th, so we'll be doing spiritual dance music because Craig will be gone for Thanksgiving, so we'll be doing spiritual dance music on this Monday. But here's Mars off of Uranus. Here's Venus on the 29th degree, and it's exiting into Capricorn for this new moon. And Jupiter will be alone now. And the benefic, the energies will have really, truly dropped. Now, the new moon is going to be positive, but we're going to talk about that next week. But look at Neptune, just 2 days away, 1555, dead stopped. Now this is where we can say it's stationed, all right? Stationing, like it's stopped. And there's something to say about this moment in time, this freeze frame moment of being ready for a new moon, to open up all these doors. At least Jupiter's still in Sag, where the sun and the new moon are going to be, and how great this could possibly be for your life. But if your ego's in the way, or you're still going to just go the same route, the same way, or your same desires, like, upgrade, allow things in, trust new things, don't question things so much. A lot of semi-square activity going on right here, even in the Capricorn stuff with the sun. It's important, and with the moon too. So I really feel Monday's not a bad day, but it is a day of like, there is this Venus galactic moment moving into Capricorn and going, okay, I got to go take these projects, these ideas, these relationships and all this and go into the reality of Capricorn and see where it's going to go on its destiny course. And the South Node is there and Saturn and Pluto there. So it's definitely a lot of bumps in the road. There's a lot of rocks on this trail, but it's like, hey, we got to live off that positivity that Jupiter gave in our self-worth. And we got to like see if we accepted the energy or we denied it ourselves of it. Because after this, on the 25th, we're less than a week away and Jupiter is out of Sag and into Capricorn. And there's not going to be as many options. It'll be the sun by itself in Sag. Once the new moon happens and once Jupiter leaves, that's it. So, all in all, are you ready this week for something great? Are you ready this week for you to go through change? Are you ready this week for unpredictable energy? But you know what? When people say, oh, nothing came in, it's like, oh yeah, it tried to. But your own ego can blur this thing in Scorpio, or only focusing on the possessive energies of what you want to possess. Be open to letting go of your obsessions and what you want to possess. And think of the idea of the things that you want to have and allow things to show up. And you'll see wonders happen in your life. I want to thank you so much for being a part of High Vibe. Thank you so much for, especially if you're subscribed to the app. And of course, you can get my daily videos, my weekly sun sign horoscopes, and of course, you can get my weekly tarot and my weekly intuitive, and you can get all the other people that are on High Vibe and all their exclusive content. My paid video, Destiny Call, definitely a week to get it. I prepare for you because there's a lot of energy that is coming up here up until January 12th, and these eclipses that start on December 26th. So it's all there on this video. It's 2.5-hour video. It's been my #1 video I've ever sold in my life. The most people love it, and the most comments, and everybody's telling me about it and watching it over and over again. So I appreciate all the love for that. Make sure that you're part of that. Make sure that you get that video. It's on the paid video section of highvibe.tv. And thank you so much for being a subscriber. And we want people to know here at High Vibe that we love people that truly subscribe. And of course, for those on the Leo King on YouTube, I love you all too for all the support, and I will continue to put content up there and of course, leave this audio part under the chart for you. But you know what? This is the time where I'm owning the value of this show and also the value to the customers of High Vibe and them that have made this possible for you all to have it on YouTube, the show, believe it or not. So I love you all very much. I appreciate it all, and we'll see you on the next Deep Astrology. So this video is going to give you the tools, it's going to give you the steps, it's going to give you the questions for you to ask yourself, to prepare yourself. It's going to give you my opinions on what best course of action to take. And you can take it or you can leave it or you can take parts of it or none of it. To me, as long as you're willing to listen, as long as you're willing to hear me and take it in and ask those questions, do you want to be in it or not? Like that's what the call is. And that is, I think, the deepest part of this energy is when people start going, I want the energy to go back to normal. You want the energy to go back to where you don't have to participate in anything anymore. And you just want to go sit back and watch the whole show. And guess what? The universe is giving you that opportunity here to build up to 2020. But do you really want that in your life? Is that really, but I'm not saying, maybe I'm saying that because I'm somebody who feels that I don't want it, I don't want that. So I can't judge you for being in that space. But I can tell you from an astrological point of view that sure, it might feel more comfortable to be in that space, but there is going to be something of not being fulfilled.